So, welcome everyone. My name is Burns. I'm a privacy advocate, and that's pretty much everything that's about to known about me. And I organized Zoo Village, Georgia, and I also was at Sugrama, and now I'm here. And I was part of Zuitzerland since pretty much day one, and was eager to stay involved. And yeah, and now I stand here and tell you about our strategy that we integrated together, and it pretty much fits perfectly everything that you heard in the last panels and talks. I will then also introduce the other speakers, but jumping right into it. This is a tech strategy, a techno-social structure to build DAG tech, but cultural technology is also technology, language is also technology, and coordinational technology is also technology. We aim to provide spaces for autonomy that allow interoperable and interconnected, but independent projects and communities to build and govern. And yes, there can also be a level of interdependence with feedback loops, but as the main concept. We are building in Switzerland. Switzerland is not cheap, but very, very decentralization friendly and very, very caring about the voice of the individual citizen. So how we make that work out in Switzerland? Well, we will need a really big amount of money from a big amount of people that are interested that we build this hub, and they're interested in the hub and the overall mission to succeed. These sponsors, supporters, groups that are encompassed, residents, communities that want to be part of that and see the surplus value for themselves to be around people that they can connect on a really deep and interesting level around that what unifies us in our intention. And this is building a DAG hub in Switzerland and following the DAG technological development philosophy and spreading it. And this is what we try to do. These supporters will partly represent centralized interests, like nation states, like, well, Switzerland. We have a hard time doing it without Switzerland. Single investors also represent single industries. Foundations also are centralized. And yes, subcultures are, if they, as a group member, come to something, are also more centralized than just the sum of their members. How do we do that? We need a structure that guarantees that these verticals have autonomy from each other, but a shared relevance for and alignment towards the mission. And for that, we took some inspiration from Switzerland and a lot of inspiration from Zuitzerland as well. The citizen mindset, that we don't just give away our voice for 4 years or so, but rather dealing the stuff on the lowest level of coordination that we can, if we can, and only if that's not possible, we outsource to higher authorities where the citizen as such can maybe not so be considered so well like in a tinier municipality. The communal life focus and the subsidiarity is not only anchored in the Swiss constitution, but also lived and carry on in the Swiss self-understanding and culture. Capture resistance is a very big topic in Switzerland. Switzerland did not opt into the European Union. They pretty much were worried that their understanding of how citizenship is interpreted and about how communal self-governance autonomy is interpreted might not be interoperable with the other candidate states for the European Union, and look at the world, it turned out it was right. Switzerland wouldn't be Switzerland if they joined the European Union in 1995. We wouldn't be here probably. Would be in Estonia maybe. But we are here because they didn't. They stayed capture resistant. Very much also sustainable and very much also focused on cultural resilience. From Zuitzerland, we want to put this into Web3 inspired and complacent digital infrastructure. We care about the user sovereignty, the opt-in model. And we don't need full sovereign individuals on all levels because it's so cool, but a certain degree of respect for individual agency and power to make decisions where you yourself are affected first and foremost, the opt-in model. This is what we took as an inspiration. Autonomy of verticals is pretty much overlapping, but we also have overlapping localized user bases, like if cantons would overlap in Switzerland. Isn't that cool? Cross-tribal communication and cross-pollination can happen a lot more effective like that. And the interdisciplinary cross-pollination also was inspired from Zuitzerland. It is not just multidisciplinary. We are not just doing summits and the scientists talked and the blockchain people talked and other people talk. It's like we are integrating and cross-pollinating, and we are talking, yeah, we are presenting then the outcomes from that, which is pretty much amalgam of many, many inputs. But it comes with some cultural and technical prerequisites. We need a clear communication culture and a secure communication platform. Without that, it's pretty much, we are not able to even identify if something is aligned or if we would agree to that. And while these verticals need to have their own platforms and their own communication culture where it fits, we need also to provide one where all these verticals can trust, or the users, the individuals, the citizens of these verticals can trust in. There's a shared platform that's credibly neutral, auditable, and censorship resistant, and that can preemptively take away a lot of tension and a lot of bad kings or loved cults. And individuals from all local verticals get access and can exchange on this platform. But it doesn't stop here. Of course, it's localized, and whatever is brought as public goods or as showcase items from one vertical to the other, yeah, this is also where individuals can have access because they actually share a localized communal living space. The key term that I took out of DAC here was balance versus integration. It is not enough to just identify groups that will give us money or people, and then we just balance a governance model based on their power positions. We should rather integrate them in a healthy way so that they can add each other with what they have to give to the world, and by that not have to compete over each other instead with capture games or zero-sum games. We have an official infrastructure, and these are the elements currently. We are really working on a long-term Swiss-fitting solution, but of course we need quick fixes in order for that to run. We have an on scheduling app, Switz app, that Vlad will present afterwards, after the next presenters. We have a relay chat, currently Telegram out of utility, but we are currently moving to Trema, which is already very privacy preserving. A discussion platform, the discourse is in the making, and it will also be auditable, and it will provide fields of autonomy and also anonymity. A knowledge database, we choose a wiki now. It could very well end in a platform like Less Wrong, if people have ever heard about that. But for now, it needs to be a single source of truth that's available for the people now that people can coordinate. Cybersecurity is new. Zulink, and this is what gentleman after me will present. And this is a painful evolution that brought us to that. In Georgia, where I was one of the main organizers, on the day where I picked up a high-profile person from the airport, as I arrived back, somebody told me, Burns, something is wrong with the DNS server. I cannot connect to my private DNS anymore. We don't know what happened. Funny. We actually did not have a working solution for that. And then in Sugrama, we were in a hotel, a Hyatt hotel. Oh, that was fine, but it's a centralized forest and is like pretty much opens doors for surveillance. So John from WEDE, who is very versed in how privacy as a human right needs to be integrated in order to live up to its values and functions, designed Zulink as a fitting solution and will present it with Alberto, who is here with the Blockchain Association afterwards. We are currently also working on a CK passport that fits the Swiss idea and model and use case, and the Blockchain Students Association are giving their best insights and their best efforts to make that work sooner than later. And of course, we need official public online presences. But there are just certain functions that we need to fulfill in order to grow verticals. When we have them, then we can really opt for this autonomy. And these are the functions. This not only addresses the tech, but also investment structures, communication structures, cultural standards to a degree. And there are no final answers, but this is rather obvious that we need to be able to present that or offer that, otherwise there won't be any trust for people to invest in such a hub or to put in tons of work and commitment that could last years or that could demand years of commitment into this hub. So we need to be capture resistant and mission oriented. Decentralization and defensiveness is already part of the mission. But we also need cultural resilience and cybersecurity, and Zulink and also our info defense platforms that Blockchain Association will present will address that. We really care about user sovereignty, but citizen centrism at the other side. It's very important that you have the keys to your wallet and you have an actual level of power over your decision, hard-coded. But we need to integrate that in a way that improves the citizen function of the participants. We know this a little bit from consumer mindset, where people always opt for comfort or for usability and not for security or for something that could be actually needed for a different use case. The info ecology and the interoperability will be our next big mission once we have other groups that will share an info ecology with us, and that can then also encompass other hubs or other events, or maybe unrelated organizations like John's WEDE, who actually encompasses 170,000 people that are active in the research of privacy on the technical and also legal level. Might be misrepresented, please correct if wrong. But if we can fulfill that, then we can not only allow experimental and coordinational autonomy fields to arise, we can offer them in a way that investors can trust that their investment is not going to be captured by a mob, and we can pull many different communities that can rely that it will not be the case that they will be outpowered by some single investor that has billions of dollars. We need both of them and many more, and we will need to integrate all sides in a way that we cannot have capture games. In order to make that possible in a Swiss-fitting way, I want to introduce Alberto and John, and they will talk about the cybersecurity platform now.
Hello everyone, can you hear me? So today we're going to talk about a few things that were built for this experiment. And in particular now we're going to focus me, Alberto, hello everyone. I'm a smart contract developer for Curve, and John from WDF. I'll be talking about Zulink. What is Zulink? Well, first of all, it's not something we're raising money for. It's not a product. It's actually an umbrella term we're going to use for a set of solutions we have built for Zuitzerland. So maybe we can cover what is Zulink and why. So networking at crypto sucks. And I'm not talking about BD conversations, I'm talking about the actual network. The security of the network is not the best. Wi-Fi is slow at best. It's been monitored usually. We have to go, especially during this crypto-like events, we have to go through captive portals, all sorts of shenanigans, give you my number, my email, get a code back, the code doesn't work, oh boy, I don't have a Wi-Fi access. There's plenty of issues with this kind of things, and also the law imposes people to actually track the usage that's been done on the Wi-Fi. So people have to comply with this. So we were tasked with this solution of making the Wi-Fi secure for attendees, and at the same time making sure it's reliable, so it's fast enough, it's not too use it. So our solution, this is the design goals of our solution, it has to work everywhere, regardless of whether it's a hotel Wi-Fi or like some 5G network or like some nation-state connection which we cannot trust. It has to be opt-in, as Burns was saying. So the idea is people don't have to trust us. If they think they can provide security for themselves better, they can and should do it. But the reality is we want them to give strong security defaults for everyone. So that you don't have to be a engineering expert just to be able to provide secure connection. And on top of this, a nice property of the VPN we have built, because it's a virtual private network, is that we have a place of internet. Test.
Testing.
Test. Okay. Thank you, John. Test. Okay, cool. So the idea is strong security defaults for everyone. People don't have to be security experts to manage to like have a decent Wi-Fi connection that they can trust. Again, there is always a trust component no matter what. We cannot protect you from everything, but the reality is we can give good enough standards for people. Now, I've been very abstract on the design goals, and also, the other thing I wanted to mention is this creating our own VPN allows us to have our own slice of internet, and this is something very interesting. Like Vitalik was mentioning this at some point during the previous talk. If we want to have like people be part of these experiments, they have to be part of the network. So they need to be able to access this slice of internet regardless of whether they are on site or not. So the idea is by connecting to the VPN, you get access to a bunch of services which are like specific to us, which are gated to users, but that people can access no matter where they are. So if you're here, cool. If you're connected to our Wi-Fi, cool. But you can also use your own 5G. You can be hiking in the mountains and still have access to those things. You can be somewhere else and still get access to those services that we offer for like Zuitzerland participants, citizens, whatever that means, if it will ever mean something. So maybe to get a bit more concrete, in the network state, network isn't just the prefix, it's the premise. So we really want to have a network we can rely on. So to get a bit more concrete, we're going to have John, which is going to go a bit more in detail on technicals on how this amazing project's been built. Because Ayla came to John and was like, hey, we need to make this safer. And John had to design the topology, and it's a very interesting design. So I'm super excited to have him introduce himself and like talk a bit about it.
Hi. So I absolutely have an unenviable task of talking through a network topology in about 3.5 minutes or something. It's going to be an absolute nightmare. However, it's a super cool solution. And what the aim was to make sure that we lifted the bar for privacy and security for everybody by default. If you opt in, you get all kinds of really awesome benefits. For example, those of you who've been at other pop-up villages historically, whether it was in India or it was in Georgia, we've had everything from nation-state pressure in Georgia to a bit of a janky network that had open doors for server relays and bits and pieces in India. And you know from your experience in hotels that this is a de facto adversarial network. They can shape your traffic, they can bottleneck your traffic, they can redirect your traffic, they can censor your traffic, they can monitor and log your traffic. That's not very cool. And it's something actually that can be undone. So what we have decided to do is not use the network for the hotel. And if there's anybody from Lax here, I'm so sorry that I'm going to be talking about you as if you're the hotel version of North Korea. You're not. You've been super cool the entire time, and thank you for all of your cooperation. But we're riding on top, effectively, of the network itself. So we've developed a logical mesh structure, and the solution is, as many of the most tech literate here will know, is composable, and it's modular, which means that we're not dependent upon any particular element of the solution. So though in the first instance, the proof of concept is tailscale, and we're using a tailnet, you can build a tailnet with pretty much anything. You can build a tailnet with OpenSense and headscale or anything that you like. For the geeks like me among you, if you want to mess around with OpenSense and headscale later, we're going to be building this next week and trying to work out failover logic for Starlink and all kinds of cool things. So what we've done is we've effectively made all traffic as it appears to the hotel simply UDP blobs. Nobody knows what you're doing. They can't tell whether you're SSHing. They don't know whether you're using HTTPS. It's just effectively an encrypted tunnel that we've got from... Could you show me the other one? So, okay, we have another one, which is my early diagram. Effectively, the Tailscaling client is what you've downloaded onto your phone. You're the user. Once you get on and you begin to get internet connection using the Tailscale client, you've established a client-side encrypted tunnel that takes you all the way through to the internet and back using a dedicated exit node with Molvad for the moment. So that gives you a secure tunnel that has you not really having to be exposed at all to the adversarial hostile network in principle. I won't have the time to talk about the Starlink and the other failover logics, but if anybody wants to come and talk to me about what this is and help out, it's super cool. Effectively, if the network goes down, you flip over to Starlink and you won't even know the difference. It remains encrypted, you're not exposed, everything is good. So all in all, we have the encrypted tunnels, everything is encapsulated beautifully. One of the great things about the logical mesh structure, rather than just using a VPN, is, as you'll now explain, that you can have effectively a local intranet which is bound to the device. So the network is on your device. It isn't dependent upon the location or the network itself. You can all go home and effectively still use the local intranet and have access to any of the APIs or the device source or even self-hosted AI that we may train ourselves. All of that stuff remains available, effectively taking it from a hotel to a campus, to a network of campuses, to an aggregated community globally. So this is over to you and the builder of the intranet.
Thank you, John. So to show you what people have been building around our intranet, I wanted to ask you a quick question, that is, what do bikes and Swiss waste have in common? Well, at Zuitzerland, they do have something in common, and that's basically something that comes from the way Swiss do incentives for recycling. So the idea is in Switzerland, you don't have to recycle if you don't want to. The way it works, you just pay way more for the bags to dispose the trash. It's like 2 francs per bag, and it's crazy expensive. So basically, people don't have to recycle unless they want to, but it creates an economic incentive for people to save money by recycling. So we did something similar because at first we proposed all this nice, VPN structure, and people were like, yeah, okay, cool, maybe I will connect, maybe not. So since incentives, we had to come up with a solution. So one of our first experiments was actually enabling people to get cheaper discounted bikes if you're actually connected to the VPN. So the idea is if you're too lazy, cool, you're getting them for 15 francs. But actually, if you want to participate in the VPN experiment, which we're effectively subsidizing for you, you actually get a discount on the VPN, on the bikes. So people have been riding around for bikes for $5 and they've been having fun if you connected to the VPN, or they paid a bit more maybe in the other case. A bunch of other cool experiments we had in our intranet, and I want to talk about is attestations, originally built by the Trustful team. Is a Trustful team here? Ooh, thank you guys for the attestations. So those were already available in Georgia, and we just made them available in the VPN with a small bonus, which is we abstracted all the Web3 parts. So now you can connect with can have attestations using passkeys, and we sponsor the gas for you, so you can really just send attestations to each other, and you can say, hey, you changed my mind, here an attestation on chain, or hey, a nice workout together, or hey, good job on challenging burns on something. So this was a cool experiment, and we can't wait to merge back the improvements on your project, guys. Another cool thing is next week we're going to have a Aztec node setup party. And the idea is at some point once we build these nodes, it would be very cool if they become permanently accessible to people connected to the VPN. So they don't have to run their own nodes, but they can decide to trust us compared to a centralized RPC provider, for example. And yeah, last but not least, the Zuitzerland wiki, which has been built by Aaron and Eliza. I don't see you guys on stage, but thank you guys. Which basically acts as a unique source of truth, which is gated to people connected to our network. And the idea is you get the information as basic as where do I get toilet paper? And you can also get to a point where you also get information like, hey, what's the deal with Zalo? Why actually Zalo? Why Zuitzerland? So here you can see a few screenshots of what we have. So this is on the left, you can see the Zwitzer bikes. If you're connected, it says Interdisciplinary discount applied, and you get at cheaper prices. So again, you don't have to, but if you want to participate in the VPN experiment, you actually get safer connection plus cheaper bikes. This is a screenshot at the center from the documentation. This actually shows people how to get to the place. And then we also have a screenshot from Trustful, which has been abstracted as a progressive web app by Niels again. So yeah, cool experiments running, more to come in the build week. Please come and reach out to us if you want to build on the VPN. And without further ado, I'm going to let Vlad come on stage. Yes.
Is Rob here, just before everybody claps? Is Isla's husband Rob around? I wanted to give a shout out to Rob because we have a server thing that we're going to be working with for the intranet and an exit node of our own. We're using currently a service for that and using Molvat. We can do that ourselves, and it's because Rob, who's disappeared, has built it. He fixed something together. If you go into the back of Diva, you'll see this monster of a machine that he constructed out of spare bits and pieces and coat hangers and everything else under the sun. Loads of computational overhead. The guy is an absolute legend. And if he was here, I'd ask you to give him a round of applause because it was an amazingly generous thing that he's donated to Zuitzerland.
Cool. Thanks, John. Thanks, Alberto. I think John was talking about me there, right? Yeah. I'm the legend? Yeah. Okay, cool. So, hey guys, I'm Vlad. If you've been here, I'm sure you've seen me around. I helped build the platform which has been powering the events during the Village. So I want to talk to you guys about why we decided to build a platform, how it's built, and a little bit about where it's going in the future. So why do we do it? Well, we figured out that we needed a custom solution because of our needs. So when we first started soliciting applications, we very early ran into roadblocks to use existing platforms and solutions. With regards to how our booking worked, with the flexibility we needed to apply discounts and things like that. So early on, it was a booking system, right? So then we started building more and more, and slowly over time, it became a full-blown CRM management solution, and also eventually an events platform, as you guys have seen. Cool. So what this allowed us to do is have control over the user experience, data. We've been able to be very nimble to customize that experience to your guys' needs. Thank you, everybody here who's been DMing me and sending me feedback on things we can be improving, new features to be adding. And also it allows us to control more of the privacy and security aspects of it. And obviously we have a progressive decentralization roadmap, which Burns has alluded to, and these guys present a little bit on as well. Okay, so what does the app do today? Well, we've got event management. We've got room bookings and management, like full-blown back office stuff. Housing and preferences, you guys have probably filled out the preference form before you came here. That helped us allocate you to different rooms. We've got the Zulink idea app submissions, which Eliza helped me build, which will be deployed shortly as we iron out the bugs. Devs stand by. And we've also done a lot of team management and administrative tools. So not only can we view our invoices and manage those, but we can also manage the room availability for all the different conference rooms. If you guys have run into collisions with room not available, you can thank me for that. I built that system. Cool. So how do we build it? Well, I'm not going to hide from the AIs, and I'm going to say I use a platform called Lovable, which is a great AI platform to get you building something very quickly. So, in terms of efficiency, I would say an app like this would have taken us 6 months to a year to build, and with a budget of probably 50 to 100 grand. We've done it in 3 months, under $20,000. I think that's a pretty big efficiency gain, and thank you AI for that. So in terms of the stack, we've got our front end is React, TypeScript, Tailwind. Back end is Supabase. Back end as a service works great. Obviously, we'll see where we get to in terms of decentralizing some of those functions and giving you guys more control over your data over time. For authentication, we use Privy. Why is Privy great? Well, it works great as an authentication system, but also provides for embedded wallets. So all you guys have been logging in with your emails, you also have an embedded wall behind the scene. If we start doing stuff on chain, you've got that ready to go. Cool. Some of our key integrations. So beside Privy, we've also used Block Survey to do the applications that originally you guys filled out. So that's a great system, very privacy preserving form builder. And then those applications flowed into Airtable. Once we approved you guys on Airtable, that flowed into our app. Privy manages the whitelist for that. We also integrated Request Finance, which hit basically 3 needs of ours: fiat and crypto payments for you guys, gives you that flexibility, and also the invoicing and accounting system helps us meet Swiss regulations. So great system, allows us to hit a lot of our needs there. And finally, Meerkat, which you used in the Q&A with Vitalik earlier. That's available to all the sessions that you guys have been hosting here. That's a great platform. That was used at DevCon last year to like big fanfare, so we integrate as well here. Shout out to the 0x Park team for building that product. Some usage metrics. So there's 266 registered users today. You guys have created over 238 events. Well over 1,000 RSVPs. Thank you for overloading the database. I'm currently working on restructuring that, so the RSVPs are still working. But that means it's working, right? It's good. You guys are using it. And we've processed over 212 invoices. So very useful. If I had to guess, we're probably saving at least 50% time on back end by doing it this way. Cool. So that's pretty much it on app stuff. Why don't I get the cracked minds from EPFL, from the Blockchain Student Association, to present Zuitzerland. All right.
Wow, what an opportunity. I'm so glad to be in front of you guys to present a bit what we do. So we're going to talk a bit about the experiment that we held at Zuitzerland that we called Zuitzerland. As a quick introduction, we are 3 students from a bigger group. This group is called the Blockchain Student Association. Basically, it's a student club that was created in 2018 at the Swiss Tech University of Lausanne, called EPFL, around the idea that it is the new generation that must take responsibility for our future. We do a lot of initiatives, one of which is holding weekly meetings with people from Web3 to tackle real-world problems. We have a research hub linked with industry access, and we have 25 committed members trying to drive change for our future. What is our mission? Our mission is first to perpetuate the ethos that made the blockchain technology a possibility. To do this, we guide university students on problems that are very close to our hearts, privacy and governance concerns. And also, we want to have a good time. A quick talk about why we are at Zuitzerland. For us, it was the perfect place to test our ideas. We know that to foster creativity, it has to be through discussions, and Zuitzerland had made it possible to meet tons of amazing people, and I'm so grateful for the community. We want to seek criticism to refine our views, and I think this is exactly what we found here at Zuitzerland. Thank you for the whole community.
So, as you don't have to trust us on our words, we're going to show you concretely what was our experiment, what we built, what we still have to build, and how we would get everyone here involved. So we are experimenting on an info defense communication platform. Here is the context. We are at a pop-up hub, permanent hub, as we all are here, with a core team and participants. The core team is responsible for the hub's oversight. It must make decisions that safeguard the event. They are legally binded to the event. The participants, on the other hand, expect this core team to act with full transparency. Moreover, to ensure fairness, participants should have a secure channel for anonymous reporting. However, as you may know, with anonymity comes lack of responsibility. Just to be clear, we have one set of people, which are the administrators, one set of people, which are the participants. As a note, administrators can also be participants in a, let's say, in a fully decentralized way. The administrators should have the property of being transparent and accountable in regards to safeguarding their event. They also should be able to make decisions. They are the decision makers. On the other hand, the participants, they want censorship resistance. which we'll see how we implement this at a network level maybe one day, and today at, more say, at the blockchain level with Antoine. They also want accountability and anonymity. All right, so let's say we build a simple anonymous forum, as we have already. Everyone knows how to do this, the tech is there. We already have a gated, because we gated to Zuitzerland in an anonymous way. We have anonymity and censorship resistance. Now, we also want, as properties, we want accountability, transparency, and crowd wisdom, which is an interesting challenge that we aim to experiment with and give some kind of solution, some path forward with this experiment. Specifically, understanding how this technology, this forum, this communication platform will be used and abused is crucial. Building the technology is the easy part. The technology has been developed for over 10 years. We all know with zero knowledge. Now we want to craft the governance, which is a real challenge. I guess to echo a bit Vitalik's talk on this morning, we need now this alignment between the people that build the event and the people that come to the event. And we also need the real-world use case at the application level of anonymity, of privacy. We have built over the past few years the infrastructure, which is neutral. Now we're building the applications that are not neutral and that should have some responsibility built within the system. Let's go back to our question, our experiment. This is the main question we talk about: how to provide accountability and transparency in a gated forum with anonymous users. Let's first start with accountability. What if people deviate from the rules? That's totally possible, but we do not know who the non-compliant users are. They are anonymous. What we do know is that we want the admins to be able to quickly intervene, but at the same time, we don't want them to be decentralized authority on which we always rely. At the same time, we also want the community to have a way to point out unwanted actions. That is useful when you want alignment between the community and the organization. You want a sense of responsibility from both of them. And if you have transparency in the system, you might achieve this point. And so, coming back to our experiment, we saw that current solutions, let's say, for example, Zupas. We've talked with Rob. He's helped us a lot in building this experiment. And so these systems, they do not allow for decentralized moderation and or transparency. What we want to experiment on is specifically on banning users that do not follow the rules, which we think is a fair point, and to keep an on-chain log of actions for this transparency property that we need, and accountability. Our system achieves complete anonymity among the user set with simple cryptography, and trustless community admin vote to ban people. I would also add here transparency.
We now enter the technical part of this presentation. So first, with the setup. To generate the anonymous credentials, we use zero-knowledge proofs of Merkle tree membership, also known as semaphore. To prepare for users' accountability, we encrypt a banning secret. Also, differently said, we encrypt users' nullifier using an MPC cryptography and prove its correctness using zero-knowledge proofs. About the decision-making, we want every administrative action to be visible on-chain. Talking about actions, when we want to ban an anonymous user, we want to release the banning secret of this user. To do so, we use an MPC threshold decryption to reveal user's nullifier and add it to the nullifier tree. For the censorship resistance, we want the deleted message to be recovered from the blockchain. And we need programmable action to add or remove users via gated specific on-chain functions with time locks. The different reaction we got to our ideas were first thoughtful questions and valuable feedback that we got thanks to the Zuitzerland community in a very short amount of time. So we are very thankful for that, especially Burns. So we think that this idea has many possible applications and a potential ZooPass integration. Being able to try it in a gated setting is a real privilege. We want to enable privacy, accountability, and innovation. Thank you to the Zuitzerland community.